Hello. In this video, I will share with you some tricks you can use to increase your IELTS reading score. Okay, for those who aren't familiar with IELTS reading, I will quickly explain about the structure of the test. For those who already know, please skip ahead a bit. So, IELTS academic reading has 3 sections and time allowed is 60 minutes. You have to finish reading all 3 sections and answer 40 questions in only 60 minutes, so it can be quite challenging. The tests get harder as you read on, so theoretically speaking, task 3 is the most challenging. One thing we need to keep in mind is that you can't just assume that you'll get a high band score just because you can read fast, because you'll have to answer 40 questions, which will require you to make full use of your reading comprehension skill. And then there is exam stress, so we need to be prepared for those things. I'm usually a fast reader, but I was still writing my last answer when the bell rang on the test day, so we need to keep in mind that the real test is quite different from practice tests. My first tip: use a pointer. Yes, I mentioned this in my last video where I talked about speed reading. This will help you to read smoothly. And remember to highlight right away when you find something important. If you're a fast reader, you can probably skip the skimming part like I sometimes do, but if you want to be safe, do it very quickly without rereading or looking for specific information. Then try to read the questions first. Yes, you heard me right. You have already gotten a glimpse of what the text is about during your skimming section, and now reading the questions, you should be able to locate where you need to find your specific answers for. After reading the questions, go back to the passage and start scanning. Look for keywords, circle or underline them right away if you find them, and if you're sure it's the answer, go and fill in the blank on the question booklet. Don't write on your answer sheet yet. You might want to change your answer after a few minutes. I circle names and years when I'm reading the first round, so that after reading the questions, most of the time, I'm able to answer right away. Then again, I'm relying on my memory, which won't be the case for other people. If you have a good short-term memory, I suggest you take advantage of it. I'm quite confident about my memory and gut, so I usually answer immediately to save time, and I will keep on scanning the passage until I find the answer for the next question. I'll fill in the blank, then read the question, and then go back to scanning the passage to look for answer. That's my process. Usually, the questions come in chronological order, so that would be fine if you don't read the previous paragraphs you just read for the second time. The pitfall for many people is that they tend to read the passages again and again just to make sure they're choosing the correct answer. This urge is even stronger when you're actually in the exam room, since you know it's your last chance. Please don't do this, it's a waste of time. If you don't know the answer, just circle the number on the question booklet and keep on looking for the next answer. While reading the question, try to read one at a time and make sure you fully understand it. Then don't even look back. Find the answer right away. We tend to read the question again if we're feeling like we can't find the answer. No, we don't have time to waste. Move on. If we find the answer for the next question, then we're quite safe to say that the answer we missed should be somewhere between the first answer and the one we just found. I usually mark an arrow beside the line with my answers so that it's easier for me to locate if I'm running out of time. Try to finish task 1 in around 10 minutes so that we can spare more time for the coming passages, which are generally more confusing than the first. I've seen some people start reading from the last paragraph or task 3. Well, that's entirely up to you. I always start reading from the first passage. When I'm finished finding the answers for task 1, I will copy my answers into my answer sheet, then move on to reading task 2. So that is how I usually tackle the reading tasks in general. Multiple choice questions are more confusing and time-consuming from what I've seen. The same goes for match the headings and such. They share similar nature. If you spend most of your time in this task, you'll be running late when you get to the third task. My tip for you is to not get too overwhelmed. Of course, easier said than done, but if you get too nervous, you'll lose track of time, and your eyes are tracing back and forth between pages without getting anywhere. You tend to read the question very quickly without comprehending it fully, and jump ahead to find the answer by skimming. You don't find the answer, so you go back to the question to make sure you remember the question right. Then you come back to find the answer, and in the process, you forget the keyword. So you have to go back to read the question again. This is the rabbit hole you all need to avoid. Take your time when you're reading the question the first time around, and don't read it again. Go look for the answer. If you think you found the answer, tick it. If you're not sure, maybe mark something beside it. I usually write a little question mark if I'm not convinced about my answer. Once you've found the answer, even if you're not sure, don't reread again. Move on. This will create extra minutes after you've finished all the tasks. Then you can use those minutes to check your answers and read the passages again at a slower pace and with a calmer state of mind. One important thing is confidence. If you're insecure about your answers, you're likely to reread again and again to convince yourself, and that means you're doing it at the expense of your time, which you should be using to read the next questions. So try to tell yourself that you're most likely to opt for the right answers. Checking and looking for missed answers is better when you're calmer. These are the techniques that I actually used, so hopefully they will work for you as well. Feel free to leave any tips you have used in your test down below in the comment section so that other people can benefit from your tips as well. Sharing is caring, you guys, and I hope to see you guys in my next video. Yours truly, Kat.